sounds kind of yo. What's good, y'all? It's a project, man. What's a project? What? What's good, y'all? It's a project, man. Today we're back again with another video. This is gonna be I was talking about the obvious, man, as you saw in my short video. Talking about the Raw after WrestleMania, the WWE Raw after WrestleMania. Just a little Raw after WrestleMania was about as a perfect show as you can get, man. Here's what happened on the show. So let's start. Like, I ain't gonna go through too much of it because you got to see it for yourself to really get that true feeling, that true flavor. But here we go. Trying to make this video as short as possible. I was busy today and didn't know how late I was gonna get home, so that's why I didn't post a video today. So yeah. Anyway, boom. Start off with that boy. 17-time world champion. Let's go, Cena. 17-time world champion John Cena, still with the blacked out Titantron and then white font. John Cena in white font and then just a blacked out Titantron. No colorfulness, no never give up, no hustle, loyalty, respect. None of that is on the Titantron. I don't even think it was on the shirt he wore. Like, how he got his, t-shirt custom made for all the cities he goes to. I don't even think it had all that on that shirt, or that you could, see so obvious, like right in your face. But anyway, comes down to the ring. He has it, man. He has the WWE Championship, the one that everybody was complaining about him, the finish of that match not being the most thrilling and exciting finish. And I was like, I didn't like it either, but I was like, maybe it kind of plays into John Cena say he's going to ruin wrestling for the wrestling fans and stuff like that. I guess that would be one way to ruin it, is to have a, kind of finish. And that's the only way you can get modern wrestling fans mad, since they all know the inner workings of wrestling to a degree. The only way you can really make them mad is to do stuff they don't approve of, booking wise, creative wise. But anyway, here we go. He comes down to the ring, and let me just start off by saying, like I said, it was a great Raw after WrestleMania, like 10 out of 10. I mean, it couldn't have really been much better. But anyway, let me keep going. Like, just a lot of moments to call. But here we go. Cena basically doesn't say anything. He tells the announcer, the new announcer, I forget his name, but he tells the new announcer, come on. Get on over here, boy. Get over here, boy. And he basically hands him a little slip of paper to announce him properly. So instead of just, here's your WWE champion John Cena. Nah, that didn't work for him, brother. It just didn't. So, or as Thugonomics, say, that didn't work for me, homie. That didn't work for me, homie. But anyway, here we go. So we gave him the paper and he read out, apparently my introduction was like, not respectful and stuff like that. He said, please welcome the greatest of all time, which is not a bad assessment at all. But he was like, please welcome the greatest of all time, world record breaking 17-time world champion and the last real champion in the WWE, John Cena. So it gave him the proper introduction. And Cena basically went off on the fans saying that, how you gonna go for, how, I hear some people cheering me, but you guys don't, going back to the thing he's been saying, like, you guys don't deserve anything and you guys should feel, sorry for yourselves for the way you treated me over the, the years and stuff like that, of them going back and forth, and funny enough, the crowd started chanting, we are sorry. And then Cena made fun of it by saying, here's what the crowd chanted for those trying to make it out at home. They said, we aren't sorry. So he played around with the fans and all that stuff. And basically how he said that, the hard part was beating Cody Rhodes, winning the championship was the hardest part, but now I'm at the easy part because I'm not going to wrestle at all. Like, when I say I'm going to ruin this and make you guys basically have to start all over and make a new champion. So yeah, he basically said that he, wasn't going to wrestle and stuff like that. And he was showing on the Titantron that you guys have 27 dates left. Like, he was like, Raw on Netflix. Then he went to Brussels. Then he went to Scotland. Then he went to London. Then he went to what was it? Then he went to Las Vegas. Then he went to Las Vegas for WrestleMania, and now Las Vegas again, which was tonight. And you guys have 27 dates left out of the 34, or I think it was like 36 dates he had assigned, and they got 27 left. And so, yeah, he was saying that they had that many dates left, and that's many dates, not how many matches he has left. That's how many dates he has left, and that includes promos. That's all his appearances, promos, matches, all of that. That's all of his appearances is 27. And how he was getting on to the fans by saying, how do you go from cheering Cody on last Friday on, in Las Vegas, you go from cheering Cody to booing Cody, then cheering him again, and then booing him at WrestleMania. Like basically saying like you guys just like basically you're just tired of him now. You know how you go from cheering this man. This is the guy we hoisted up on our shoulders last year when he finished his story at WrestleMania 40, and now you're booing him the next year. Like basically making fun of the fans and calling out their BS for not being able to basically choose, you know, who they want to cheer for and stuff like that, and basically how the fans don't really know what they want and stuff like that. So Cena said, "Everybody get out your phones. I'm the last world champion in WWE." He used this instead of "the champ is here," which is his usual catchphrase. He said, "The last real champ is here." And then as he was about to say John Cena, as he's about to say the John part, he went John, and then Orton turns him around and RKO's Cena in the middle of the ring, and the fans, of course, came unglued. And so RKO to John Cena, and we running it back. This is definitely my childhood. Grew up on this feud of John Cena and Randy Orton having many matches. But running it back, you know what I'm saying, going down that nostalgia trip, you know, nostalgia memory lane for John Cena. So it's going to be Randy Orton versus Cena, which is not confirmed, but we can see that that's the direction they're going. Randy Orton versus John Cena for the WWE Championship in the main event of St. Louis Backlash, as in Backlash will be in St. Louis, which is Randy Orton's hometown. So it's fitting that that would main event the show. So that's how the show opened. Really nice opened. Nice going in on the fans that Cena usually has been doing, like going in on the fans on the microphone and pointing out great points and just pointing out the truth if you think about it. And now we're going to get one of the first, I guess you could say, nostalgia trip-esque feuds with Randy Orton being one of his most iconic rivals. So him and Orton most likely for Backlash, or pretty much, I should say most likely, going to be for the WWE Championship at Backlash. Next big thing that happened on the show was, I think it was the New Day came out as the new tag team champ. No. It was the women's tag match. The women's tag match happened. And yes, the champs indeed lost in not even 24 hours of being champion. They lost the titles to Liv and Raquel, back to Liv and Raquel, who are now the first ever 4-time world champions. And Becky's helping Lyra Valkyria up, who is also the Intercontinental Women's Champion, holding her up. And then she clotheslines her down and just started beating her up. So she started beating her up, left the ring, beat her up some more, started to leave the ring, came back, and then delivered 2 manhandle slams, which is like the rock bottom. And then the crowd was chanting one more time, and she went back in the ring and delivered a third one. So Becky Lynch turns heel. And this could be the first, and this is honestly the first feud, because they're both, you know, Irish females. If those who wanted to know kind of why they even were appearing, they're both Irish, and you know, Lyra's the up and coming talent who looked up to Becky and everything like that. In real life, you know, a little mentor mentee type of thing. And so this is going to hopefully be a good feud. This will also, I think, be the first actual feud. We have had championship matches, but this will be the first actual feud for the Intercontinental Women's Championship. So hopefully it's good. And for those who you know, some people were like, you know, last time we saw Becky Lynch as a heel, it felt forced. But I actually, and it's other creators who've said the same thing as I did. Like, I actually thought heel Becky was the best version of herself, because I felt her as that top, I'm like the GOAT and I'm the greatest, you know, big time Bex and all that. I actually thought that was the most genuine work she did, because to me, the man character was fine, but at times it would come off like she was trying so hard to like be tough and stuff like that on the microphone. Like it would kind of come off too, like, you know, when Stone Cold is so natural, because you know he really come from, you know, that type of area, you know what I'm saying? But then with Becky doing it was like, like at times it would be hard to believe what she was saying. But to me as a heel, her being the cocky, arrogant heel, that to me actually was the opposite to me. Like, to me, it came off natural, and other people have said that too. Like, so it's a up and down with a heel Becky. I actually felt heel Becky was the most genuine I've seen her as like a top star, you know what I'm saying? So that's just, so for me, this is exciting. You know, we don't know if it's going to be different. It may not be that version of Becky Lynch, but you never know. Yeah, you never know. You know, she gonna, you know, maybe she ends up being something different, but I don't mind a heel turn at all, because her as the man, I don't really know what that does for anybody. Her coming back as the face and being the man, I just don't know her. I mean, she's been there for like 6 years now. You know what I'm saying? The man character has been around for 6 years, and you know, I just don't really know what it would have done for anybody to her to come back as a babyface. You know, there's no really if you think about it, all of WWE's up and coming talent, or like established talent, like recent established talent, if you think about it, they're all faces. So this gives Becky Lynch something to do that doesn't interrupt the main event. And like I said, most of their girls right now are faces. So they don't need. I don't think Becky Lynch is needed as a top face, knowing that they got Rhea Ripley, who's basically taking her spot as far as that popularity is concerned. But moving on, I think the next notable thing that happened was the New Day came out as the new World Tag Team Champions, and they got interrupted by Alpha Academy of Otis and Kira Tozawa. And Maxine Dupree came out there, and she was like, I think there was a Monday Night Raw where they pinned the New Day in like 60 minutes. That's crazy. 60 seconds. And they were like saying, they were calling them Minute Men, you know what I'm saying? And the crowd was chanting that, and they were like, all right, bet, like, we'll fight right now. And then music starts to play, the light starts to dim down. And when the lights come back up, and as the music is still playing, it's Rusev. Rusev Day, Rusev Day, Rusev Day, Rusev Day. It is indeed the return after 5 years. It is the return of Rusev. You know what I'm saying? He went to another company for a little while. Issues took place there, and he came back to the WWE. Obviously, it's under new management and everything. So he came there and took down Otis, and then did like a fall away slam to Tozawa. And then as Otis was about to get ready and ripping the shirt, Rusev hit him with a head kick, then he hit him with the Machka kick, the little, his little version of the super kick, and then he did that camel clutch, or as he calls the accolade, where he's got the, the hands underneath the chin, and the guy's arms is underneath both of his armpits are both underneath the leg, and he's wrenching back, and he's, yelling and screaming and stuff like that. And the crowd the whole time is chanting Rusev Day. So I think they remember a thing or two about Rusev, So Rusev, at one point in time was popular, at one point in time got over, but they didn't capitalize on the momentum. But that was during a different, person running the company, to say the least. So hopefully they can capitalize on this momentum. And if people that's saying that he could have probably been brought back with somebody more important, don't really know how much you could really say there, because you don't need him coming back and beating a top star immediately. You know what I'm saying? We got to reestablish this guy. So, excuse me. I think Otis is actually the best thing you could have done with him, as far as like if you're trying to level him up and put him in there with somebody he can afford to beat, or somebody that is able to be beat by him, and it doesn't really, I guess you could say, affect that much of his overness. I guess it would be Otis, because he can't go in there and go against a Braun Breaker or a main event star. You know what I'm saying? You can't just bring him in like that. You got to reestablish him. So I don't actually mind him going in against Otis. That's the way he returns. Like a little something light, make him look like a monster. You know what I'm saying? So. But, with Bronson Reed having to come back at some point, that's going to be a little interesting there. There's a little conflict there between two of those monsters. But Rusev looked in great physical condition, and he's ready, locked and loaded, and ready to get going. So the next thing that was of note, I think, was it? I might be out of order here. I think the next thing of note would have been Jey Uso's celebration as the World Heavyweight Champion, and we got the return, funny enough, of another return. Like I said, I might be going out of order here, but then we got the return. Oh no, was that late? See, this is where I'm getting out of order, because there was also let me go over this. A segment with EO. EO comes out there, retained her World Championship. Crowd saying you deserve it and stuff like that. And she comes out there, cuts a promo saying she's the champion that she retained and all this stuff. And then Stephanie, that girl, you know what I'm saying? She come out there saying who she is. She's La Primera. You know what I'm saying? The crowds are there chanting that. And, she's looking great as usual. She's obviously a fantastic wrestler. So she comes out there and as the who's the NXT Women's Champion right now, WWE's development over NXT, you know what I'm saying? Comes out there again and challenges EO to a match. And they were cooking as they wrestled. They had a match. Before that, Adam Pearce, GM of Raw, came out there, and the crowd started booing because they thought he was gonna mess it up, but actually he was just gonna ask the crowd if they want the match, and boom, referee got out there. So they had a little match, but then they got interrupted by Roxanne Perez, another star in NXT, beat her down, and then Roxanne Perez and then Julia, another star in NXT, came down there, started beating up EO. Well, one started beating up EO, one started beating up Stephanie. Then Rhea Ripley comes out there to the save for both of them. And you get a little stare off, a little title, them tugging the title, EO and Rhea. So I don't know if they're running that back or not, but we did get that. So Stephanie, NXT Women's Champion, comes up to the main roster for a little bit to have a match with EO, which was going great, but, interrupted, because no one can afford to lose that match. They're both champions. But anyway, Another thing that happened would be they had AJ do a little interview backstage where Karrion Kross tries to get in his head once again, wanting him to bring back that, darker side of AJ Styles, and AJ said that he hated that guy and that you're not about to drag me in the hole that you've been in. You know what I'm saying? That was a hell of a line, Loquito. And then Karrion says, maybe I will, you know what I'm saying? So he's mad and he's doing his stuff there, getting into people's heads. And the funny thing is, he had a great promo that wasn't even on WWE television, but he had a great promo that was like a essentially work shoot-esque promo that was freaking fantastic that he did. And the irony of it was he was like, oh, the WWE doesn't care about the real people who love wrestling. They just care about stuff going viral, talking about, Logan Paul being a viral superstar and having a match with AJ. And funny enough, that promo, him saying that, went viral. So that's kind of crazy. But anyway, Jey Uso comes out there yeeting his way about after he got a nice promo package just going down memory lane of just the stuff he's been through and the stuff in his career. And yeah, Jey Uso comes down the arena, starts the yeeting, and he said that he made Gunther tapped out. The crowd chanted, he tapped out. And so yeah, he's going and doing that. And, basically saying how great it is to be world champion, how he's grateful for the opportunity. He's going to come out here every week, wrestle and all this stuff and be a defending champion. And if you love the sound of that, let me hear you say yeet, and the crowd goes yeet. And then you hear Sami Zayn's music. And Sami Zayn, the crowd starts chanting Usi, from the Bloodline storyline, and then they chanted Sami Uso. And Sami said that he initially wasn't gonna go to Las Vegas, but he had to make sure he was the first one to congratulate Jey Uso for becoming the new World Heavyweight Champion. And then basically they were like both celebrating a little bit with the yeeting, but then Sami Zayn kind of stood behind him while Jey was on the turnbuckle, and you're thinking like, whoa, they ain't about to do something, is it? Like, is Sami gonna turn heel too? We just saw Becky do it, but nah, he ended up hugging him, and then Jimmy came out there, and then they all celebrated basically. So I don't know if they could be setting up a little something with Jey and Sami, but how they get to it may be a little different. So another notable segment, speaking of that, the former champion, Gunther, comes out there, and Michael Cole, he comes out there to the commentary desk, and he was like, basically Michael Cole, I guess he's getting mad at Michael Cole saying that, he got beat and stuff like that. And Michael Cole was like, well, I'm not the one who tapped out. So Michael Cole's freaking being a savage. And Gunther takes his headpiece off, the little, headset. There we go. The headset off, and then he puts Michael Cole in a choke for a little bit, but then McAfee hits him with a forearm because Pat McAfee, other commentator, former punter in the NFL and all that, he comes there and punches him a little bit to back him off to check on Michael Cole, and then from behind Gunther snatches him and just goozles him and chokes him out for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And they were finally able to get Gunther off, and so the whole after that, they were like showing McAfee just coughing, and he has to go to the trainer's room and stuff like that, the medical room and stuff like that. They show like the footage of him going to the back and all that. And Adam Pearce was telling Michael Cole like, yo, you could take a day off and stuff like that. And he was like, nah, I'm not going to let this bully basically stop me from doing my job. So him and Joe Tessitore, the other commentator over on SmackDown, commentated for the rest of the show. And so Gunther was definitely upset, definitely mad, and that's gonna be something there. Or I don't know what Gunther's next feud is, but that's gonna be something. But if they continue to have him basically not be able to be controlled and tamed, I guess you could say. I think that's all that happened, other than Dominic Mysterio. It's funny seeing him get cheered. The crowd was cheering him when he came out there. They're chanting "Dirty, Dirty Dom," so they chant his name. I guess they starting to like him now. I don't know if it has anything to do with the Judgment Day story, or maybe they just like him now after being a heel for a while that they loved booing. I don't know what it is. But he went against Penta, and Penta suffered his first loss by the way of JD McDonough coming back. Another comeback. JD McDonough comes back, interferes, and Dominic gets the win to retain his newly won from WrestleMania Intercontinental Championship. Last thing that happened on the show, I'm trying to make sure I cover everything before I get to the main event. I think the last thing on the show was I know what the last thing is, but I'll just make sure that was it. So Seth comes out there with Paul Heyman after he did what he did and aligned himself with Paul Heyman at WrestleMania. And they don't even come out there and say a whole lot. There's still the crowd at first is still doing the whoa, they're doing this little sing along. So they didn't really get to say a whole lot. The only thing I remember for sure is Paul Heyman saying that Seth Rollins is the true and only number one guy in all of the WWE, basically. So they didn't get too much in with the verbiage, which is great because CM Punk comes out there and interrupts Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins and CM Punk start brawling a little bit, punching each other and stuff like that. I think once Punk gets Seth down, and then Punk tries to push off Paul Heyman and all that stuff, but then Seth comes from behind and gouges the eyes out, hits a stomp, and then Roman surprisingly comes out there. You're like, whoa, Roman's not taking a couple month break, so Roman is showing up for Raw after WrestleMania. He spears Seth Rollins, and I think he's gonna and then he delivers a Superman punch to Paul Heyman. So, oh God, everybody got done catching the shots. And so then he's gonna set up for a spear. I think he's gonna spear Heyman, and then Roman, as he's running to do the spear, he gets speared by somebody in a black hoodie. And you're like, who is this? Like, and we reveal the hoodie, take the hoodie off, and it's Braun Breaker. And funny enough, earlier in the show, I was like, I wonder what they're going to do with Braun Breaker. Like, I wonder if he's going to be on the show since, he lost his championship. I wonder what they do with him now. And they said, what we do with him now is elevate him to the main event scene. I didn't know they were going to do that. I mean, that's kind of the only place he could go, because I was thinking to myself, if he's lost the Intercontinental Championship, I don't know what other feud right now you could really put him in. And hopefully they give the same treatment to LA Knight, someone else who's over. He's been a 2-time U.S. champion, just like how Braun's been a 2-time Intercontinental champion. And they've elevated Braun Breaker to the main event scene. Hopefully they do the same over on SmackDown with LA Knight. But anyway, Braun Breaker delivers a spear and to Roman in the ring, and then Roman, I think, hit him with some move. I forgot what he hit him with, but then it didn't matter, because it ended up being Braun Breaker running all around the ring, maximum speed, and spearing Roman through the barricade. Then he threw Roman back into the ring, and Seth delivered a stomp to Punk again, and then another stomp to Roman, and you got Paul Heyman, Seth Rollins, and Braun Breaker, raising each other's arms up, and they're all standing tall. So a little bit of an alliance here, and we go off the air. So a little bit of alliance here. Some people are saying Evolution 2.0, you know what I'm saying, that faction. Or Paul, making the alliance, you know what I'm saying, he had that back in the day. So a little bit of a faction here, man. That's kind of crazy. Like Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, and then managed by Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman did tease that a little bit on the episode of NXT one time, where he, him and Braun Breaker were in the same room together looking at each other and stuff. So they teased that before. But yeah, Seth Rollins essentially a Paul Heyman guy, and Braun Breaker being the, rookie or young guy that they're kind of, I guess you could say, grooming and stuff like that, right? Because Seth is the established multi-time world champion veteran, and, Paul's the established manager, knows what he's doing, and Braun's the, up-and-comer that they're going to try to, you will use as the muscle and to capitalize and then, elevate him up to the main event scene and stuff like that. So I was kind of thinking of it like somebody says maybe there's another member, maybe they have another person they elevate for this alliance, and that would be dope to see, man. But either way, a lot of fun things, a lot of excitement. This could potentially lead to Roman and Punk versus Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins, but my thing was like, Braun Breaker is already, he's pretty over with the crowd. They're barking and all the time, every time they see him and stuff. So I was just thinking to myself, like, I don't know, but I was wondering at first what they were going to do with Braun Breaker, right? Because he's already lost the Intercontinental Championship a second time now without getting pinned, in the Fatal 4-Way at WrestleMania. But I was like, they have to do something. Whatever he does next, it has to be something better than being Intercontinental Champion, and this is it. You know what I'm saying? So last thing I'm gonna say was, other than that, this was a great Raw after WrestleMania. A lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of great questions coming out of it and stuff like that. We still don't know what's gonna happen with Cody. I don't know how Cody's gonna feel after he loses the championship. I don't know if he maybe plays into a part of, because Randy, remember on that SmackDown, he said that, hey, when you beat John Cena, assuming that he was gonna beat John Cena, that I'm coming after that championship. But now he's coming after Cena because he's the champion. So maybe you could have Cody feel some type of way about that, because the crowd has been, Las Vegas at least, has booed him a time or two. So don't know if that makes them think that they need to do anything different with Cody or not. But either way, should be fun, should be exciting. Great Raw after WrestleMania, like that's what it needs to be. Debuts, returns, or whatever, making it fun. So they ultimately made this a fun show. And you didn't want it to end. It was the 3 hours flew by, you know what I'm saying, or almost 3 hours flew by. So only other thing is, man, I already told y'all, I was, like I said, I wasn't fond of the finish at WrestleMania Night 2. Maybe Rock should have been involved. It should have been a little more of an exciting finish, considering The Rock is orchestrating all this. And I'm one of those people that love The Rock, but at the same time, it doesn't make him look good when he's a part of such a massive story and Cena being a catalyst for Cena's heel turn, and then not show up for any of that lead up to WrestleMania. And now we're just moving on to John Cena and Randy Orton. So I don't know if they're not mentioning The Rock on purpose, because The Rock said, enjoy the ride he take you on. So I don't know how long it's gonna be until we see him again, or if he's still gonna, what he's gonna talk about, what he's gonna do. But either way, we still gonna be tuned in. You know what I'm saying? But I wasn't fond of the finish at WrestleMania night 2, but I try to remain optimistic by saying maybe this is what Cena meant by ruining wrestling. You know what I'm saying? And since we know wrestling is, it's some of the inner works of wrestling, part of doing that would be to have some creative blunders that the fans may not agree with, that you knew was going to send them in an uproar on the internet. But anyway, the negativity either way, though, it garners attention and gets people talking about the product. So maybe that's what WWE wanted. I mean, they said they did 1.1 billion social views for WrestleMania, like the most viewed WrestleMania across social media. So they still got their numbers up either way and got their engagement. But, I was one of those people that already knew, like, after this, I didn't know it was going to be this great, because Triple H said he had big things planned. I didn't know it was going to be this good and or great. But, yeah, Raw after WrestleMania had a lot of moments, man. A lot of things were cooking up. And the only thing is, I was thinking to myself earlier in the day, I was like, I bet you ain't nobody even going to be talking about how, fans criticized the ending of WrestleMania Night 2 as far as how they got to the finish. Should have been way more thrilling, story-driven, and exciting, rather than just having Travis Scott out there. But I was one of those people that complained about that too. But at the same time, I was like, watch after this Raw after WrestleMania, I bet you we ain't going to be talking about none of that. And whoop-de-doo, what do you know? I was right. Like, I had a feeling that once this Raw after WrestleMania took place, and nobody was even going to be talking about what happened on night 2 of WrestleMania. That goes to show you that fans can go from hating the product and going, this creative decision sucks. And in one day, now they're like, oh my God, this Raw was so great, all these stories. See, the conversation switches just like that. So you got to understand with wrestling fans, that's why I say whenever they get in an uproar on the internet, don't take it seriously, because all it takes is one good show, one good decision, one good teasing of a new story, and they already back to loving you again. That's just how that go. I said the same thing with Rock. I'm like, you don't want people be like, oh, we don't want The Rock to be there because he messes everything up. But at the same time, you don't want The Rock to be there because he's not there enough. So you don't want him to be there because he's not there enough to forward the story. So that's kind of funny how that works. But anyway, it was a great Raw after WrestleMania. I knew if it was good or great that people were going to start talking about that rather than what happened at the end of night 2 as far as how they got to that ending, But anyway, I love and appreciate you guys. And at the end of the day, what can I say? It is what it is. And what it's going to be is a project continuing to come out with content, videos, bangers over and over again for you guys. Like I said, I had to get a video out late night, you know what I'm saying? Follow all the socials down below. They're there for a reason for you guys to remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Do your thing and do it well. Posting clips on TikTok from whatever I can get a reaction from, or whenever I can live stream and, be able to put my reactions. I put them here on TikTok. Thought I was going to do it on Instagram, but, it just uploads too slow. And I'll be tweeting here and there on Twitter, and obviously YouTube is where I, post the content and images of bangers like everything else. But love and appreciate you guys, and I shall see you guys in the next video. We're going to keep grinding, doing our thing, and doing it well. Oh, and comment down below how y'all felt about Raw after WrestleMania, and whether you liked it or not, and what was the best part of the show to you. But love and appreciate you guys. We're going to keep putting in the work, grind, time, and effort, because we all are working as a creative unit and community, and that is the vibe that DJs